again, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Experience Maker Live. Believe it or not, we are coming up on our 100th episode. I cannot believe it. Had no intention of going this long on this series, but I keep finding amazing people to talk to. And so as long as I keep doing that, we're going to keep coming to you every week here live on LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. I have an important announcement this week. I got to humble brag for just a minute because I was absolutely wowed at something that happened this week. My book, The Experience Maker, showed up on the list of best customer experience books and best customer service books of all time by Book Authority. Man, all time sounds like a really long time. I have to say that's very humbling, very excited to make those lists. So if you haven't checked out the book yet, please do so. Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Books A Million, wherever you buy books. I would so appreciate it. And because I am all about customer feedback, I love it when people give me feedback about the book, tell me what they think about it, tell me what their favorite stories were. I was talking to somebody the other day about how a few people have mentioned that it's easy to read or that it's simple. And I love that feedback because that's intentional. Simplicity is such an important part of the experience. And true fact, I was never really good at that SAT part where you had to have all the fancy words. I've never owned a thesaurus. And so, yeah, the book's easy to read because I write how I talk. And so hopefully I'm glad to hear that I get that kind of feedback. All right, today's guest is another just fantastic person. And I'm super excited to dive into this because as you may have noticed over the last 2 years, so much has moved digital and virtual that the virtual experience has really become something that so many companies, event organizers, and other folks like me have to focus on, right? Who wants to continue looking at talking heads all day? We got to make it interesting and fun. And this guy has figured out how to do it. So I'd like to introduce you to a former expression coach, and he has turned virtual experience producer, Lamont Gwynn. Welcome to the show, Lamont.
Thank you for having me, Dan. It's good to be here.
Hey, I'm honored to have you. And I got to tell you, I've done a lot of introductions and a lot of titles, and I have neither heard of an expression coach nor a virtual experience producer. So I want you to explain both of those to me, and then we'll get the conversation started.
Sure. So I started my career as a photographer about 12 years ago. And through that process, I learned that I'm kinesthetic in that a photo, it has to be not only a visual experience for me, but I have to get a feeling from it. And it took me a while to understand that because when I took my clients' headshots, because I'm a headshot photographer, if it didn't have that right feeling, I wasn't happy. And so I was speaking with a friend one day, and I said, I need to come up with this thing that I do with folks because there's research that shows when people look at your photo, they make a perception about who you are. And what happens oftentimes is when people stand in front of the camera, they never think about their target audience. They never think about that perception. And so as a photographer, as an expression coach, what I do is help them think about that expression, think about that perception, and then coach them to that expression. So let's say, for instance, someone is a lawyer, right? How many times have you gone down the highway, you see a big billboard of a lawyer, and you look and you say, I don't trust that guy because of the way that the image comes across. So
well, that and the phone number is always 222-2222 or something like
that.
Well,
it's easy to call them, but that trust factor, when it's missing, they may not get the call, right?
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Or let's say you're in healthcare, concern and empathy or care is something that needs to be communicated through a photo. And we can pick up on those nonverbal cues. It's not something that we verbalize, it's something that we feel. And so as an expression coach, that's what I do for my clients. And then the pandemic hit, and I became part of the non-essentials. And I was sitting home one day, and a friend of mine called from New York and said, hey, I have a client who wants to put on a virtual production with a dance performance from around the world. Do you know how to do that? And I was like, I don't like to say no to things. So I said, I think I know a platform that we may be able to do this event on. Called someone. Long story short, they connected. He paid for the training, and we did 2 virtual events. And I was like, wow, this is a business. So that's how Platinum Media Productions was born. And one of the things in my past life, I was a production assistant for television. And one of the things that I learned in that experience is that it has to be an experience. People want to feel something. They want to be feel like they're part of it, or they just want to have that emotional feel to it. And so as a virtual production, as a virtual experience producer, what I do is I help people think creatively to make an experience for their audience so that they can walk away saying, now that was a great virtual event.
I love it. It's so interesting. And as it just turns out, Lamont, this was not planned. Yesterday, in fact, I had to do I live in the Chicago suburbs, and I went into the city and I did a photo shoot because I'm redoing my website. And so my web developer wanted me to go hire a photographer and go do this photo shoot. And I brought the girlfriend along and thank goodness I did, because she had a much better eye for this stuff than I did. But I had all the different outfits and whatever. And we were a lot of what I was trying to portray was, hey, when I go look at other speakers' websites, everybody's got the shot where you're in front of a big crowd and, okay, we get it, you're a speaker. What I was trying to get at was more of the human element, and but I'm also a warm person that you'll enjoy having at your event, or that you won't be afraid to introduce to your clients or what have you. And so we were trying to kind of get at that. And so I actually insisted on one of the sets of shots being in very casual clothing. I didn't want to be in a sport jacket and shirt, which is what I would normally present in. But I wanted to just kind of have people see me just as a normal person in like a sweater. So tell me a little bit about kind of the elements of this. And then if you're willing, I'd love to play a game with you. I would love to show you a couple of LinkedIn profile pics and just get your off the cuff, here's what this picture is saying to me. I think that would be really fun. If you don't want to do it, it's okay. I won't put you on the spot, but I think it would be a really good learning opportunity.
Yeah, I'm open to that. It was so interesting when you talk about your experience, and what I heard from you was the onus on you, right? You felt like you needed to do these things. As a photographer, what I believe is, as a photographer, it's my job to coach you through that. And so what I do with my clients is help them get into that state. So if you want to feel or want to look, what did you say before? What did you say? You wanted to come off like, very casual, I would get you into that state of feeling. So
yeah, I wanted the humanity to come out, because oftentimes as a performer, right, that's a different part of my personality when I'm on stage. Right. And so and that's going to come out, of course, in the website, because that's what I'm selling. But I also felt like if I'm trying to differentiate a little bit, wouldn't it be nice to kind of see into who I am aside from being a performer?
Exactly. And so in order to do that, it's really about creating that state of mind, putting yourself in the feeling of it. So what oftentimes
we're losing you a little bit. Lamont is coming in from a hotel room today.
Oh, sorry.
So, okay, you're back.
Right,
good.
Yeah. So either go to a memory, go to a place of imagination, or go back to a memory. And by doing that, what happens is you begin to feel it. And I believe when you feel something, it shows on your face. When you look happy, when you feel happy, you look happy. When you feel miserable, you look miserable. So creating that feeling.
Yeah, it's exactly right. Now, I will say that one of the tricks in the photographer's bag that I worked with yesterday was he had on his phone a whole bunch of probably the corniest jokes you've ever heard, but they're so corny they got me to laugh, and that's exactly what he was looking for, and it worked. It was great. I mean, they were like, some of them were just, almost pain-inducing. They were so corny, but it definitely had the right desired effect and sort of put me in that spot that I think that I wanted to be in, which was just having fun. I think this is it's so interesting. And I think about this from the perspective of businesses and trying to create remarkable customer experiences, and how so often the first experience that we ever have with a brand is through marketing or advertising. We see a picture of something, or we see a picture of people enjoying their soda or enjoying the beach at this resort or whatever it is. Tell me a little bit about how, as you sort of look at marketing, what do you see? And in terms of the people represented, the expressions on their faces, how we're supposed to interpret them.
It's really interesting. And so I'm not going to talk about big brands, because big brands, they get it. More of the entrepreneurs, people who, run their own business, solopreneurs, there's a disconnect with how they appeal to their audience, or how they want to appeal to their audience, or should appeal to their audience, and how they do it. So, and oftentimes the disconnect is they're not thinking about their customer in the moment of creating those, taking those photos or doing those videos. So it's really about shifting the mindset of making sure that you are thinking about your customer. What do they need to see and feel from you in order to trust you, in order to feel that they can approach you? What are those nuances that, and it changes per industry. So every industry, like for instance, financial advisors, I tell financial advisors, you don't have to give a big cheese smile, especially if you have somebody with a 7 or 8 figure portfolio. Why? Because they don't want to see you smiling at them. They want to know that they can trust you and that you're confident in what you can do. So those types of things are what people should have in mind, looking at their target audience and seeing how they should appeal to them.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. All right, let's play our little game, and we'll have some fun with this. Just top of your mind. We don't have to go terribly deep, but just interested in a couple. I'm going to start you off with one that I think is going to be pretty easy for you. Why don't we share this handsome guy right here? So tell me, what are you trying to do with this photo? And I'm assuming you would say it was successful because it's you. But tell me what you're trying to evoke.
Okay, so let me flip this a little bit, because I want to ask you, what do you see and feel when you look at that image?
First of all, I think it's a really great image. I think my first thought was you look like a movie star of some sort. You look like a celebrity of some sort. It's something about the tilted angle of the image. Your facial expression is warm, although you're not particularly smiling, but there's sort of an approachability to it. I love that you're wearing dark colors, and so between your hair, your skin, your beard, your shirt, it just sort of is all like a single palette. Which is, I think, what led me to feel like it was sort of a celebrity, because it looks like it's a professionally shot picture, which I'm going to go ahead and guess it was. But tell me if I'm anywhere close.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. So this is my own personal professional selfie. So I took this photo of myself, but you hit all the right, you said all the right, hit all the right points on this photo. It's really about confidence. It's really about approachability. It's the ability to be warm and inviting without a big smile, and being able to do that in a way that someone looks at it and say, I think that guy's interesting.
Right. Oh, definitely. Uninteresting, it would be the last adjective that I would use to describe your photo. So you definitely hit on that. Okay. I'm going to give you now, I'll put you on the spot, but I'll be the next guinea pig. So I think that's only fair. So let me pull up my current, although we are, hold on, that didn't work. Right. Oh, definitely. Uninteresting, it would be the last. Let's try this again. So I'm trying to get to blow up my photo. There we go. Now, I went for a photo shoot yesterday, so this is not going to stay, but I'm curious to know, what would you say when you see this person?
Just pure confidence. You're confident and approachable. You are knowledgeable. I mean, for your brand, that look is perfect, because you are the experience maker, and someone looking at that photo will be able to look at it and say, yeah, I get that. It's right on brand for you. I love it. And
Awesome.
the thing that I like about it is the fact that the smile looks genuine. It doesn't look forced. And oftentimes when people take pictures, they do what I call the cheese smile. And that cheese smile is really, it's not authentic at all. So what I do is I get a person to think about something happy, to get them to that state of happiness in order to get that perfect smile. So bravo. That was a great photo.
Well, thank you. And it's funny because even my mom will tell you I've never liked getting my photo taken. So yesterday was pure misery for me because it was 2 straight hours of me getting my photo taken. But I'm glad that I'm glad it came out that way. Okay, I know that somebody else is watching here today, and so he's not going to worry that I'm going to totally call him out on the carpet here. My good buddy Chris Strub. Chris Strub. I don't know if you've met Chris. But Chris is the Giving Day guy. He travels around the country, visited 50 states in 100 days, volunteering for youth organizations in every state. And he hosts Giving Day events where they raise money for local charities. This is Chris Strub. Tell me about him, Lamont.
Very happy, very approachable. I see that he's in front of a Whole Foods. But and one of the things that I like to encourage people who are doing great things in the world, that investing in a professional photo goes a long in in solidifying your reputation, right? So being able to, I think he's got a great photo, but having a photo that speaks to your professionalism and your brand is really important.
Yeah, I think that totally makes sense. Because he's not here to defend himself, the one thing I would say about Chris might be that his brand is about being out and about. He's not in a studio. He is out. He's always, with the people, traveling to different places. And so it's funny. I did not notice the Whole Foods until you pointed it out. So that's a great observation.
But the funny thing is, that's the photographer in me.
Yeah.
So I'm going to look at the whole thing, but sometimes I think his smile is so captivating that you didn't go back. You didn't go beyond that, which is a good thing.
Yeah. And thank you, Chris, for letting us use you as an example. So I'm interested to know. So I think this is fascinating, and I love anything where you can just kind of continue to unpack and go into the detail. And I think that just the way that you described those 3 photos were just full of detail, right? It's not just I like this photo, or or the person looks handsome. Like, there's a lot of detail behind it. So how would you suggest to companies, organizations that are using photography in their business, strategically, how should we think about the image that we want to portray to the world?
You should think about your core values. You should think about what the brand represents, right? And then making sure that when you look at your core values and you go to the website, if you say one of your core values is we care tremendously for people, but you go to the website and everybody looks like they're miserable, then you don't really feel that, right? And so I think when you match the core values with the photos on your website, I think all companies should take a step back, really, and take a look at their core values, and then go to our team page and say, does our photos match that? And if it doesn't, then we need to seek out a photographer who can help us do that. Oftentimes, when people think, oh, it's just a headshot, we'll just get the cheapest guy in town. And the cheapest guy isn't going to think about all of those things and take into consideration the different personalities of the people that come in. There's some people who are just very, you have some guys who are military guys, right? And how do you get them to actually portray that core value, but they come with that staunch mentality,
Yeah.
there's a way to break through that. And being
Yep.
able to have a photographer, hire a photographer that knows how to do that is really important.
Yeah. So you were reminding me of something, and I had to go dig it up because I want you to look at one more picture. This is actually a picture from an organization. It's a dental company. It's called Mint Dentistry. And I use it in my keynotes because I think it is a great example of being what I call witty, which is not meant to be hysterical. It's just meant to be clever and to use language to your advantage and to refuse to be boring. And so dentistry, you might think, could possibly be boring until you see this picture from Mint Dentistry. And here we go. We make sexy teeth.
Oh
Now,
man,
this was on their homepage for a while. So before I give you what I think of this, tell me what are you seeing here?
This is just phenomenal. This is really being on, understanding that people don't like the dental experience, right? And then taking what people naturally think is a painful thing, but giving a visual that says, "Oh, this is sexy." That's perfect. That's just brilliant. Brilliant. I love
Well,
it.
I love the word sexy there too, because no one thinks going to the dentist is sexy. And the joke that I make on stage is like, hey, if my dentist is going to look like any of these people, sign me up for a cleaning and a root canal, right? So
Right.
can you guess, as a photographer, and I'm sorry for putting you on the spot here, but can you guess? I get a lot of feedback on this picture, and it is one specific piece of feedback. I'm just wondering if it jumps out to you, because I never know how to answer this when people say something to me about it.
Okay.
Anything stick out to you as being maybe odd about this picture? While you're thinking, I'm going to tell you, I love how everybody's dressed. I love the diversity. I think it's just amazing, the diversity in this group. They're all really good looking people, which is I think a nice start as well. If it isn't coming to you, it's fine.
I would think the lady laying on the floor, but that's the only thing that. And I'm trying to see, is that dental equipment they're on? No, so you
That's
tell me.
actually a good question. Yeah, it looks like they're sitting on, maybe a dental chair. The feedback that I get is no one is showing their teeth, and it's an ad for a dentist's office. And I thought that was really interesting, and it has to be on purpose because none of them are doing it. But I can't explain it. Any reason you could come up with that a dentist's office would not show any teeth? Maybe because every other dentist's office shows teeth.
I think they were trying to go more for sexy and did not take in consideration the teeth part. So you could get some sexy smiles. So maybe that was intentional. But yeah, that's a great point. I didn't notice that at first, but when you bring it up, that makes a lot of sense.
I didn't either, which is why I asked you, because it is amazing how often people will comment, especially if I'm presenting virtually. It'll end up in the comments on the site. Speaking of comments, thank you, Ivan, for being here week after week, and I see you commenting a few times, and he enjoyed our game. So thank you for being here. Really appreciate it, and I will check out your link later. All right, Lamont, unfortunately, our time is running up, and I feel like I could sit here and chat with you for a ton longer because I'm learning a lot. This is fascinating stuff to me. And part of it is, it's not how I necessarily perceive things, or I'm not sure. I guess what I'm saying is, I'm not sure that I spend enough time focused on the kinds of things that you're saying. And so that's why I feel like I've learned something, is, to take that extra moment and to spend the time thinking about it. I like to say that I pride myself in being very observant in terms of experiences. So I pay attention to what's going on around me, but I would say that I don't pay as much attention to sort of the photography or to the imagery of things that are around me. And I think that's a really good learning. How can people get a hold of you and connect with you if they'd like to learn more about what you do?
They can reach out to me at lamontgphotography.com. And I'm on all social media at Lamont G Photography or The Expression Coach.
Awesome. Fantastic. And just in the last couple minutes that we have, anything that you have seen that has changed over the past 2 years or so because of the pandemic that has kind of altered how either you're approaching certain imagery or how maybe you're perceiving certain imagery?
Well, I think there's a stronger push on video content. And so I've moved, I'm moving into the space of actually coaching people on how to command their camera confidence, because oftentimes people, they don't like this thing. And when you're talking to a camera, you don't have an audience, you can't feel that vibration from the audience. How do you get into your confidence to be able to look into the camera, deliver your message, and get past your limiting beliefs, your negative mindset? All of those things stop people from pressing record. And so what I've done is I'm moving all the things that I've learned as a photographer and getting people into that state to communicate what they want their target audience to see and feel in a picture. Actually using some of those techniques to actually coach people on how to command their camera confidence. So when they need to deliver content, when they need to record content, they're able to do so in a very confident way.
Yeah, I think that's so smart. And, I've gotten that feedback too, and I've worked on confidence as well. And confidence comes in a lot of different ways. There's the confidence on screen. There's also the confidence off screen, right? Because as my friend Shep Hyken likes to say in the speaking business, the work isn't in delivering the speech, the work is in getting the speech. And so there's a sales process and there's, what have you. And as you are going through, if you're an entrepreneur, especially, and it's, me, myself, and I, there's also this idea of being confident when you're talking about your own value. And I always like to say to people, I was a marketer for 20 years. The hardest thing I've ever had to market is me, because I can market any other product. That's easy. But then when you start talking about yourself, your insecurities come up, or you don't want to feel like you're being egotistical. And there's this difference between confidence and cocky, and you don't want to go there. And so there's just a lot going around in your head. So I think this idea of confidence is so important for people, whether you're on camera or off. Believe in yourself. Believe that you are as big time as you are, and that you got something to bring to the world, whatever it is. And so, Lamont, I appreciate what you bring to the world. It's been really fun chatting with you. And again, I wish we had so much more time, but keep doing what you're doing, man. It's really great, and I'm so glad to meet you.
Thank you so much, Dan. I really appreciate it and love the opportunity.
All right, and enjoy the rest of wherever you are staying in your hotel. You told me you're in LA. Enjoy I'm sure you have nicer weather than me in Chicago right now.
Yes, I'm loving it here.
All right, and thank you all for being here this week and every week on the Experience Maker Show. I so appreciate it. We'll see you next Thursday at noon Eastern. I'm Dan Gingiss, the Experience Maker. Have a great weekend. We'll see you next week.